This is the second part of our chapter probability. We are working on two-step experiments. Now, hopefully, at the end of this video, you would have achieved the following. So, what you're going to do is you're going to use a table to list a sample space, and then using that table, you are going to calculate the probability of two-step experiments. Okay. Now, I remember giving you a booklet earlier this week. Just make sure you finish off the skill sheet 8G. It's just good work, additional work to do. Okay. Now, what is a two-step experiment? It is just two things happening one after the other. For example, my first experiment is I'm going to roll die first, and then after I record that, I am going to flip a coin and record my result there. Okay. Now, if you were to keep doing that, you're just going to list all of the possible outcomes there are. Okay. So as you can see here on one side of the table, I have a die. So this is just basically, um, I should probably just go through the whole thing here. So this is like, uh, potential outcomes for die. And then on the left side here, I have potential outcomes for flipping coin. Okay. And as you can see, if you keep going, it's like this. You'll end up with a table where it looks like H1. So that just means, hey, I rolled a one, but when I flip my coin, I got a head. You could also get something like H2, where it's like, hey, I rolled a two, and then I flip the heads on that. And then obviously you can sort of see the pattern establishing, and it keeps going until you fill up the whole table. Okay. Now, how many outcomes are possible? The outcomes are just basically these ones right here. The ones in the white sections, it is going to count how many there are. So as you can see, I've just highlighted 12 of them. So your answer is just 12. Part B says list all the outcomes where an even number is rolled on the die. So just have a look. What's an even number? We should all know even numbers. It just means 2, 4, or 6. So we're just going to count all of the outcomes where it has 2, 4, and 6. And as you can see, I've sort of like highlighted them already and I've listed it. I've listed them out. Okay. Now, don't think it's just for heads only. The question just said where an even number is rolled. So you include everything involved. Okay. So once you've listed everything, that's great. Part C. Hence, state the probability that an even number is rolled. So before we just mentioned that there were six of them, six of these, six outcomes. Let's say six outcomes. So we mentioned there were six even numbers, okay? And it's saying find the probability. So make sure you write the PR, the probability, and in my bracket, I've sort of described the description. In this case, even. So I'm going to write even in the brackets, close it. Because we counted six, we can now just sort of see, hey, what's the total amount of outcomes are there? There's 12. So you just write it as 6 over 12, and then you simplified, okay? You simplify. That's just it. If you don't remember the formula for probability, it just means PR of description equals to uh, what we want. So over the total. Okay. So how many even numbers are there? There's six of them. How many total outcomes are there? There's 12. So you just write it as 6 over 12, which equals to 1/2. And finally, it says here, list the outcomes for which tails is flipped and, so keyword, and an odd number is rolled. So before it wasn't just as simple as an even number being rolled. this has a condition now. So I must flip a tails, number one, and then when I roll a die, it has to be an odd number. So you're just going to count those kinds of scenarios, like, okay, which outcome satisfies those conditions? I've already highlighted them for you. So you got T1, T3, T5. And then let's just take it a step further and say, all right, what's the probability of me rolling an odd number and flipping a tails? So because we count there's three of them, we're going to compare them to the total amount of outcomes, which is 12. And then you just sort of like do your probability that way. Okay. So this is an example here. Not an example, just an activity that I want you to do. So I'll just read it out to you. Or a spinner with the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 is spun. And then a card is drawn from the letters P, I, E, written on three cards. So basically, one card is P. So one card is P, one card is I, one card is E. Okay, that's just it. Draw a table. So if I were to draw a table, let me see here. What would it look like? A table. So I'm gonna write. So it'll be PIE. So there'll be four down, and then five across. So it'll be something like this. I'll see if I can make it smaller. I will do so. So it'll just be something like that. So you can just say, oh no, undo. So draw. Cool. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, just up there. And then I'm going to write PIE. So this will be something like P1, P2, P3, P4. And then you go I1, I2, I3, and then I4. E1, E2, E3, E4. Just something like that. Something very simple. Okay, now I'm just going to change the table so you can read it a bit better. Maybe this one. There we go. So as you can see, I've labeled out my table and then you just answer the questions accordingly. How many outcomes are there in total? So just count. There's 12. Find the probability of the combination 3P. So you can just say PR of 3P, or you could say P3. I don't care. Either combo works. So count how many there are. There's only one of them. Out of how many do I have? I have 12. So the probability is just 1/12. And then part D is find the probability of an even number being chosen together with a vowel. So what's a vowel again? A vowel is like, your A, E, I, O, U's. So you're just going to count them. So I've got I, I've got E being a vowel, but then it also has to be an even number. So I've got, in this case, I2, I4, and then I got E2 and then E4. So the probability of even and vowel equals to 4 out of 12, which equals to 1/3. Okay, that's all you got to do. You can answer these questions now, have fun, and let's just go back. Hey, we now know how to use a table to list out all sample space, and then using the table, we can calculate the probabilities, which is what we've done today. Okay. Um, yeah, just practice hard. If you need some help, let me know. I'll talk to you in class next time. Okay. Enjoy.